Every seller has a story. I'm Georgia Mampanis, and welcome to our newest episode of the eBay Seller Spotlight podcast, where each month we'll spotlight a seller with a story to share with us. Our guest this episode knew early on in life that her calling was to help people. She's now the founder of Reflections of Trinity, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to serving the needs of families in crisis. Welcome, Lori Wong.
Hi, how are you, Georgia?
I'm fabulous. Thank you for joining us this episode. Let's jump right in. Tell us about your business. What do you sell?
So Reflections of Trinity sells a little bit of everything, but we mostly have products in the fashion vertical. Yeah, but just a little bit of everything.
When did you start selling?
We started our brick and mortar business in 2003 and then went on eBay in 2005. And that absolutely changed the trajectory of our nonprofit.
Okay, so you were born in Brooklyn, New York, but you lived in Scarborough. And so for any listeners, the majority of them from the US, they probably don't know where Scarborough is. It's actually outside of Toronto in Ontario. So you lived there as a teen and then you made your way back to the States, specifically Georgia. Why?
I lived in Toronto, Scarborough for quite a while, and the snow, Georgia, the snow, shoveling snow. I decided to go south for warmer weather. And we did that back in 1987. We moved to Florida and then into Georgia in 97. And I've been here ever since and love it.
Why Georgia out of every state?
At the time, my husband had an opportunity, a business opportunity. And, he thought it would be a good move for the family. So we packed up and we moved to Georgia. And actually, it was the best thing that ever happened to me because I think the reason for all of my preparation thus far actually manifested here in Georgia with Reflections of Trinity. So this is where I was supposed to be.
So what was your first ever experience with volunteering? What triggered that want to help people?
7 years of my life was spent in a convent boarding school. And I was raised by nuns during that time. And the nuns had a soup kitchen. They had a kitchen that fed the poor every day. And I grew up Catholic. While sitting in Mass, could actually see the kitchen door from the chapel. And I was very distracted. Instead of listening and being attentive in Mass, I would watch the nuns feed the homeless at the kitchen. And it was a daily routine that mesmerized me, watching their faces, not just the homeless that was receiving food, but the love and the attention and the tenderness that the nuns displayed as they were giving the food. And it just made an impression on me. I was just a kid. I started at the boarding school when I was 10 years old, and I was there for 7 years. So it made a huge impact on me. I never thought I would do what I was doing, what I'm doing today. But if I had to trace it back to the impression that they left on me with the food kitchen, it would definitely be that experience.
And what were you planning on doing?
You're going to laugh. I vacillated between wanting to be a DJ. Can you just imagine? No, there's just no way.
Like at a club or like a wedding DJ? Like what vibe were you going for?
I wanted to be on the radio.
Oh.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, that's the furthest thing from my mind today. I also dabbled with wanting to be a teacher. Yeah, but I think as I got into my early 20s, I realized that I had an entrepreneurial spirit. Didn't even know what that was. And I wanted to experience compassionate capitalism. Always wanted to give back to the poor.
So you've been doing it for a while. We'll go later in detail for that one. But curious to know if you have one particular memorable experience that help reassure the fact that you are in fact making a difference.
I have experiences like that every week, but I'll tell you one I will never forget. This probably happened about 6 to 8 months ago. We have a church parking lot where we register all of the cars that come through our mobile pantry. Because of COVID, we have a social distancing policy that we've just kept, where instead of folks coming into our pantry, we just have them drive through and we drop the boxes in their vehicles. And we register them. We stage all of the cars at a church just a minute up the road because there's so many cars that we have to process on a Saturday morning. Just to give you perspective, we process between 800 to 900 families on a Saturday morning. We were registering, doing our intake, and there was a lady that we came to her window and we noticed that she was kind of depressed. We asked what was wrong, and to our shock and horror, she lifted her blouse like right up to her neck. And Georgia, we saw very recent stitches. Like she had just come from the hospital and she was stitched from her panty line to her chest. And she said, I am just coming out of the hospital. And she showed us her hospital bed. And she said, I have nowhere to live and I have nothing to eat. And I've been discharged. Oh my goodness. So we had to find food that she didn't have to cook. We immediately called other agencies to make sure that she could get a caseworker and somewhere to sleep. But that particular incident is not common, but we have crises like that all the time. And that just reassures us that we are doing what we're supposed to be doing. If I could really use the tagline that I want to use, it's not very professional, but it's accurate. Our tagline would be, we got you. Reflections of Trinity, we got you.
I love that. No need to say any more. So a little birdie did tell me that Reflections of Trinity will be celebrating its 20th year this year. So let me ask you, how does the business operate?
Reflections of Trinity is celebrating its 20th year. And when I began the nonprofit, I didn't want a nonprofit that was specifically funded by donations or grants. I wanted to be able to be self-sustaining. The first revenue stream that we opened up was the thrift store. Then we went to eBay in 2005. So we've been selling on eBay going on 18 years. And then we also wholesale items that can't sell on eBay or can't sell in our store. We export a lot of items overseas that we just can't sell locally or on eBay. And that model has served us really well. Case in point, when COVID started, there was a mandatory shutdown that required us to close on our brick and mortar thrift store for 8 weeks. Not only did our eBay business soar during that time, but there were nonprofits right here in Georgia that had to close because their source of funding dried up. As a matter of fact, the statistics showed that in the first year of COVID, 40% of nonprofits had to close their doors. Thank God we weren't one of them because we chose to diversify our revenue stream. Sobering, huh?
Yeah. Are there any stats you can share regarding the impact Reflections of Trinity has made?
I just did my year-end stats for our annual update. And last year, we served just a little over 3.5 million pounds of food to over 77,500 individuals.
That's incredible.
So our pantry is only 11 years old. And over the lifetime of our pantry, we've served over 12 million pounds of food to over 500,000 individuals during that lifetime. That is absolutely amazing. And largely in part of the revenue that we get from eBay, we're able to buy food. Now, a lot of people don't know that nonprofits don't just get donations of food items. We actually have to purchase the food. We get it at a discount, we sure do, but we have to purchase the food. It's important for us to have an ongoing revenue stream so that we can be sustainable.
And I assume eBay comes into play here. They help support the purchasing of the food. What type of merchandise do you list on eBay? And is it all donated?
Yes, it's all donated. We have items in almost every category. We have quite a bit of media. We have men's, women's, and children's fashion. We have shoes. We have some home decor. We even have some collectibles. Not many, but some. We have a broad swath of items on eBay, but the vast majority of our items are in the fashion vertical.
Okay, so if anyone needs fashion in any other category, your first place to look is Reflections of Trinity.
And you'll help feed a family in the process.
Most importantly, correct.
Yeah, absolutely.
And does Reflections of Trinity help international organizations as well?
Yes, we do. We believe in not only helping locally, but also internationally. There's a few charities that we support. The first one that comes to mind is an orphanage and a school in Barakani, Kenya, that we have supported now for 10 to 15 years. It's a school that teaches orphans and houses them. And what we do is we sponsor all of their tuition, all of their books, all of their meals for breakfast and lunch. their school uniform, so everything concerning the third grade class. That's our level of sponsorship, is we sponsor the third grade in those areas. And we've done that for many, many years. There's another charity that we sponsor. It's called, I don't speak French, so forgive me for this terrible pronunciation, but it's Hospitalier de Fontaine. It's a hospital in Haiti, and it's located in Cité des Soleils, which from what I understand is one of the most crime-ridden cities in Haiti. Well, this is their only hospital, so we support them monthly with a financial donation so that they can continue to stay up and running. And then the third international ministry that we sponsor is called Blessing Bethlehem. And it's a food pantry that's located in Israel that in particular takes care of homeless and at-risk Palestinians. We are supporting a food pantry on the other side of the world to do the same thing that we do here.
So you're here and you're internationally. I'm sure you don't do it on your own. You can't do it on your own. So how many employees do you have?
We have 22 employees at Reflections of Trinity. The vast majority of our staff is in the eBay, our e-commerce division, and more than half of our staff is Hispanic, so they speak Spanish. So we're pretty diversified in our staff. The vast majority is in our e-commerce division. Yeah, but we have 22 employees. We've grown quite a bit since.
And I'm sure you'll continue to grow.
Since we started, yes, absolutely.
Amazing. So anyone located in Georgia can sign up to volunteer on the Reflections of Trinity website. But for the rest of us, how do you suggest we help take action against hunger?
Most cities have food pantries, even if they're rural. You usually have access to a food pantry. I would suggest the easiest thing that you can do is to take donations of non-perishable items to your food pantry. And let me give you a tip. Stay away from green beans. We get a lot of green beans.
Why green beans?
I don't know. People just love to donate green beans for some reason. Some of the things that food pantries never get and we always need is paper products. Toilet paper, paper towels.
Interesting. Okay.
Things like that. Think of unusual things that are non-perishable to donate and stay away from, the normal everyday items. Another thing that food pantries are always looking for is toiletry items, feminine products, diapers. So those are just some ideas, ways that you can help. Volunteer. If you've got a couple of hours, sign up to volunteer. Nonprofits are always looking for help. Specifically for Reflections of Trinity, support us on eBay. Just know that when you purchase something from Reflections of Trinity, you are helping to feed a family that's in crisis.
Well said. Thank you. Everyone take note what you should be donating. No green beans, please.
Stay away from green beans.
Stay away from green beans. Okay. I don't even have green beans in my cupboard. It's just not a thing. So noted. Thank you. Where can listeners find you and your store online?
You can find us at Reflections of Trinity on eBay. So that would be ebay.com/str/Reflections of Trinity. We also have another store. It's called Squeaky Clean Sales. You can buy toiletry items and health and beauty products from us there as well.
Thank you so much for being here, Lori. That was so inspirational. Thank you for all that you do for the community. Whether, it's national or international, we're very grateful for the work you do.
And I'm thankful to eBay for everything that you guys have done for us. Not only do you give us an opportunity to sell items, but just the mere fact that you're focused on charity, that you have eBay for charity, and that you've done over $1 billion in charity work, in supporting charities nationwide. The fact that you reduce fees for us as a seller, that helps in a huge way. The Shine Awards for us helped us to get our 14-foot walk-in freezer. I can't tell you the difference that made for us. As a small nonprofit at the time, this was back in 2016, we were running out of room as to where we would put our turkeys for Thanksgiving. And just being able to use that Shine Awards money to buy a 14-foot freezer that still exists today changed the trajectory for us. That was huge. And then the crowning glory is just the eBay staff. You guys have been so sweet, so accommodating, so encouraging. Just know that you're making a difference for everything that you do there at eBay. You're making a difference for people like us. So thank you.
No, I'm gonna cry. That's so sweet. You're such a bundle of joy. So thank you.
Thank you.
Lori Wong sells on eBay under the store name Reflections of Trinity. You can also check out some of its amazing work her nonprofit does at reflectionsoftrinity.org. We hope you'll join us on our next episode where we'll shine the spotlight on another seller with a story to share. I'm your host, Georgia Mampanis. Jim Griffith is our editor-in-chief. The eBay Seller Spotlight podcast is produced by Libsyn and Podcast 411.